Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Smith, and this is 6.2 Perimeter and Area of Regular Shapes. We're building off a little bit of Pythagorean theorem that will be seen in this. In fact, you see it on the first page. And we will be building off of this in the next lesson as well. So make sure you pay attention and understand this thoroughly, and we will be moving on. Okay. Perimeter of a figure is the distance around it. So distance around it. The area of a figure is the amount of space it covers. Area formulas, we'll see a formula sheet. We're actually going to go through the formula sheet together and list off all of the formulas. I will not expect you to memorize these formulas. You will have a formula sheet to work through the homework, quizzes, tests, whatever is thrown at you. Okay, example 1, determine the perimeter of each figure. Well, here we need to figure out, the side lengths. If this is 8 centimeters over here on the left, right here, then that means that over here is going to be 8 centimeters. So we're going to have 8 centimeters here. And if the bottom is 15 centimeters, then that means the top is going to be 15 centimeters. So this is 15 centimeters here. All right, next example. Now we need to figure out the perimeter. Perimeter is just the distance all the way around. So we just add up all the sides. We have 8 plus 15 plus 8 plus 15. And if you add that all together, you just end up, with 2 times 8 plus 2 times 15 is another way to do this because there's 2 15s and 2 8s. So 2 times 8 plus 2 times 15. It's just 46 centimeters. So the parallelograms and rectangles will have a similar perimeter formula. Diamonds and squares. So in this case, it's a diamond. All the side lengths are equal because that's what those dashes mean all the way around, where we have a dash here, over here, over here, and over here. That means that the perimeter is going to equal 4 because there's 4 sides that are of side length 5.5. So 4 times 5.5. In this case, it's 22 millimeters is our units because millimeters is what's given to us. Next example, we need to figure out the circumference given the radius. Circumference, and this is our first formula that we're going to see, is 2 pi r. This should be review from grade 7 and 8. So we have 2 pi and then times r, which is 6. We're going to round to 1 decimal place, and we get 37.7 millimeters. Our next example, we don't know all the side lengths, but it is a right angle triangle, and we know how to figure out our hypotenuse here. So first we're going to figure out our hypotenuse, then we're going to figure out our perimeter. We have 12 squared plus 9 squared is equal to c squared. So we need to figure out what c is. We have 144 plus 81 is equal to c squared. So that's 225 equals c squared. And you get 15 centimeters is equal to c. So our perimeter is going to equal 12 plus 9 plus 15, which is just, if it lets me write, equal to 36 centimeters. Sorry about that. My tablet won't let me write too close to the corner there, it gets all messy. Okay, so 36 centimeters is our perimeter. Let's go on to the next slide. Our next slide here, we have a few different formulas. I just want to make sure I'm going to copy them down appropriately. First, we need to figure out our perimeter. Our perimeter for a rectangle is just P equals 2 times the length, or L, plus 2 times the width, or 2W. 2L plus 2W is our perimeter. The area is just length times width. Parallelogram is a little bit different, but similar. Our perimeter is going to be 2 times the base plus 2 times C, because there's 2 side lengths C and 2 side lengths B. We don't actually use H for our perimeter, but for our area, we're going to have our height times the base in this case. Base times height will give us our area. Triangle, our perimeter is just A plus B plus C. That's our perimeter. Area is equal to, well, there's 2 different ways that I've seen this written. 1/2 times base times height, or BH. Or sometimes people write B times H all over 2. Either way, the math will work out. It's just 2 different ways to write it. Take a second, pause the video, and make sure you get all of these formulas down. You will be using these formulas from here on out, and there's a few more to go. All right, so let's dive into the perimeter first of the trapezoid. It is different from a parallelogram, that you can't just multiply 2 sides. You actually have to add A plus B plus C plus D. You do ignore the height again. Next, we actually need to find the area of this. And this is where things get a little bit interesting, because it's actually the top, so A, plus the bottom, so plus B, times the height, which is H, all over 2. So it's really A plus B times the height, all divided by 2. It's a lot of calculations. You have to do your addition, then your multiplication, then your division finally to get the area. So it is a lot to take in. Next, we have our circle. Perimeter is actually called circumference when you're dealing with a circle, so we use C instead of P. And our circumference is 2 pi r. Or, if you are given the diameter, it's just diameter times pi, or d times pi. Usually 2 pi r is the most common formula. I would get used to using that because in grade 10 that is the formula that you're given. Next, we need to figure out the area of a circle. If you don't remember, it's just pi r squared is the area of a circle. So there's the rest of your formulas. Make sure you have those done and copied so that you can use them when we go on to our examples up here. First example, we're given a diameter of a circle, and we're asked to find the area of each figure. Now, to find the radius, it's actually diameter divided by 2. So 24 divided by 2, which is equal to 12. All right, good. That's the first step. Now we have r. We can use our formula. And our formula for a circle is what? A equals pi r squared. Now we just sub in for r. We have pi times 12 squared. So 12 squared times pi, which should give you about 452.39 centimeters. Okay. Next one, I'm going to label this A, B, and then this is H. Because we're trying to find the area, we don't need C and D, so I don't need C or D over here. I'm just going to cross them out so I know to ignore them. But I do need A, B, and H. If I know A and B, I need to add them together because the area formula is A plus B in brackets times H all over 2. So now I sub in 12 and 18 and 8. So 12 plus 18 times 8 all over 2. So 12 plus 18 is 30. 30 times 8 is 240. 240 divided by 2 is 120 centimeters squared. I forgot my squared. Whenever you're dealing with area, your units are squared because you're covering a 2-dimensional space, not a 1-dimensional space. Okay, here we're actually given the height and the base. Even though the height isn't contained within the triangle, we can still calculate the area given the dimensions. The height is 16 centimeters, the base is 3. So you just use your formula like you did before, which is base times height all divided by 2. And we know what B and H are. B is 3, H is 16, divided by 2. So 3 times 16 divided by 2 should give you 24. And our units are centimeters, so it's centimeters squared. All right, done the example. Let's go to the next page. Okay. The perimeter of a rectangular yard is 540 meters. The width of the yard is 76 meters. Use algebra to determine the length of the yard. Well, let's draw this out. It looks like a rectangle. Doesn't have to be super artistic. And we'd say the width of the yard is 76 meters. So that means it's 76 meters over here. Okay. But that means we don't know what L is here or L is up here. So that means that our perimeter, if we use our formula, 2 times L plus 2W, well, we know what the W is, so we have 2. And we know what the perimeter is, because we're given the perimeter right here. And it's 540 equals 2L plus 2 times 76. So now we actually just need to solve for L. And this is just an algebraic expression. You guys have done this countless times. You did it all in Unit 1. So we're just going to build off of that and keep going. All right, so 540 is equal to 2L plus 152. Move the 152 over, and we'll get 540 minus 152 is equal to 2L. Then we get 388 is equal to 2L. Now divide both sides by 2 to get rid of the 2, and then we just get what L is. L is equal to 194 meters. There we go. And because this is a word problem, we need a therefore statement. So therefore, the length is 194 meters. Done. All right, next example. I'll give you a second to copy that down or pause the screen. And going to the next example now. Okay. A hula hoop has a circumference of 250 centimeters. What is the diameter of the hula hoop? Now, if we recall, the circumference formula looks like this. 2 pi r. Or there was the option to have diameter times pi. So what makes this nice is if we use the second equation, it's much, much easier to solve. And here's why. You won't have to divide by 2 at the end. However, I do want you to get used to using the first equation. So we're going to use that, and you'll see why it's easier, hopefully, at the end. So we're going to sub in 250 for our circumference. So it's 250 equals 2 pi r. And we don't know what r is. To get rid of the 2 pi, we have to divide both sides by 2 pi. And then we'll just get r on one side. So r is actually going to equal 39.79 centimeters is what r is equal to. Okay, now we can actually use this because diameter is equal to 2r. So 2 times 39.79, which is just equal to 79.58 centimeters. Okay. And that's what your diameter is. That's your final answer. And a quicker way to have done this is if you chose to use c equals diameter times pi, you could have just divided 250 by pi. And if you divide 250 by pi, you'll get 79.58. However, I still want you guys to get used to c equals 2 pi r because that's the formula that you use repeatedly throughout grade 10 and 11 as well. Okay. And then we have our therefore statement because this is a word problem. The diameter is 79.58 centimeters. Okay, what's the area enclosed by the hula hoop? Well, we look at our formula. It should be A equals pi r squared. And that should be the area for our circle. Well, we sub in the r value that we figured out earlier, and we can actually solve what the area is for this hula hoop. So the actual area is going to equal pi times 39.79 squared. Okay, so this should equal 39.79 squared, then times it by pi. You should get 4,973.91. And that's rounding to 2 decimal places. And the units are in centimeters, so it's centimeters squared in this case. All right, that should be everything for this lesson. And if you need any help, make sure you contact me through email or Google Classroom, and we can set up a meeting and work through some of the practice questions before you do your quiz. And good luck.